You hear this phrase all the time, right? Social justice. It's everywhere. In the news, on social media, in our schools. But have you ever stopped to think, what does that actually mean? It sounds so simple, but believe me, it's one of the most complicated and, well, contested ideas out there. And that's what we're going to dive into today. Okay, so if you looked it up, you'd probably find something a lot like this. Social justice is about how wealth, opportunities, and all that good stuff gets spread around in a society. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? It's all about how the pie gets divided up. But, and this is a big but, is that the whole story? Because is justice really just about who gets what? The source material we're digging into here makes a pretty bold claim. It says this common definition isn't just a little off, it's dangerously incomplete. It's like it's missing, well, half of the entire equation. So to see why, we've got to do a little time traveling. The term social justice actually isn't ancient, it's pretty modern, popping up in the 1840s. And here's the kicker. Right from the get-go, nobody could seem to agree on what it meant. It's been debated ever since, which is, a huge part of the problem. And that confusion hasn't gotten any better over time. In fact, it's only gotten worse. Fast forward to 2009, a scholar named Michael Novak really dug into this. And what he found was wild. He realized that people are using these same two words, social justice, to mean five totally different and sometimes completely contradictory things. So think of this phrase, social justice, like a big bucket. And inside that bucket, you've got five totally separate ideas all rattling around against each other. And that is exactly why conversations about this stuff get so heated and messy, right? People are basically having five different arguments at the same time and don't even realize it. All right, let's break these five down real quick. Number one, distribution. That's the simple dividing the pie idea we already talked about. Two is equality. Sounds great, right? But in this context, it can mean forcing everyone to get the exact same portion no matter what. It's like giving a tiny baby and a huge bodybuilder the same size steak. Then there's the common good. Super noble, but who gets to decide what's good for all of us? The fourth one is the progressive agenda, which is really a historical thing, a reaction to the problems of the industrial age. And finally, number five, compassion, where social justice is just kind of a catch-all phrase for helping the poor. You can see right away how these things just don't always line up. Okay, so let's get back to today. Most of the definitions you'll hear now, especially from different groups and organizations, really hone in on two things: equal rights and equal opportunities. And look, on the surface, that sounds amazing. I mean, who's against that? But the moment you start to poke at those phrases to ask what they really mean in the real world, things get complicated fast. Like, what even is a right? Is it something you're born with or something someone gives you? And who gets to be the boss of that? More importantly, what happens when my right to something bumps up against your right to something else? And this idea of equal opportunity, what does that even look like when we all start the race of life from totally different starting lines? The famous philosopher John Locke actually had a great way of thinking about this. He used acorns as an example. He said, look, your fair share of acorns from the forest is basically whatever you can gather and use before they go bad. Anything more than that belongs to someone else. Makes sense for acorns, right? But what about money or land? That stuff doesn't spoil. And what if I own the land the acorn tree is on? Does my right to my property just disappear because society thinks I have too many acorns? And then there's that whole equal opportunity thing again. It just doesn't always square with reality, does it? Life is messy. We can't control who our parents are, what natural talents we have, or sometimes just dumb luck, good or bad. There's an ancient saying that goes, time and chance happen to them all. And it's so true. Having an opportunity doesn't mean you're guaranteed to succeed. Sometimes businesses just fail. Things go wrong. So all of these tricky questions and real-world problems bring us to the absolute core argument of the source we're looking at. And the argument is this: the way we talk about social justice today is truncated. That's a fancy word for incomplete, or chopped in half. It's like we're trying to do math, but we're only looking at one side of the equal sign. Check this out. This really lays it out. The way we usually talk about social justice is all about the stuff on the left. It's all about my fair share. What do I get? What are my rights? What privileges am I owed? But the argument here is that we're completely, totally ignoring the entire other side of the equation. My fair load. What's my responsibility? What do I need to give? What am I supposed to produce? So let's just put a pin in that and define it. Truncated justice. It's this lopsided view that's all about the benefits you get from society while completely forgetting about the burdens you're expected to carry. Okay, so if the modern idea is broken, or at least incomplete, where do we look for the other half? Well, the source suggests we need to look way, way back to an ancient framework that had a totally different spin on what justice really is. All right, so in this older way of thinking, the whole starting point is different. The big idea is that we humans don't actually own the world. We're more like managers or stewards, taking care of it. And from that point of view, the fact that we're all different, some are stronger, some are smarter, some have more, isn't just a random accident. Those differences are actually tied to different levels of responsibility. The whole point is to create a community where everybody can thrive by playing their part. And this idea is summed up perfectly in that famous line, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be required." Bam, right there. It directly connects the two sides of the equation. If you've got more talent, more money, more power, then guess what? More is expected of you. It's the ultimate with great power comes great responsibility idea. This is the missing half we've been talking about. And this isn't just some dusty old philosophy either. There's a perfect real-world test case for this. You've heard of the Pilgrims, right? Well, when they first landed at Plymouth, they basically tried to set up a society based on that lopsided, truncated justice idea. Everything was owned in common, everyone got the same share of food and supplies, no matter how much or how little they worked. So what do you think happened? It was a total disaster, an absolute catastrophe. Once people realized there was no connection between their effort and what they got, motivation just evaporated. Why would you bust your butt in the fields if the guy napping under a tree gets the exact same dinner? The governor at the time, William Broadford, wrote all about it. He said there was just confusion and bitterness everywhere. People stopped working, and the colony, they almost starved to death. So they had to do something drastic. They scrapped the whole common ownership experiment. Instead, they gave each family their own plot of land to farm for themselves. And the change? It was like night and day. Broadford wrote that it made all hands very industrious. Suddenly, when people knew that their hard work would directly feed their family, when their fair share was tied directly to their fair load, the whole colony started to boom. So at the end of the day, what we really have here are two completely different ways of looking at justice. You've got the modern, sort of lopsided view that's laser-focused on benefits, and then you have this ancient framework that's all about balancing both sides, the benefits and the burdens. This chart really puts it all together. The truncated view, it's all about what you get, usually handed out by some central authority that's trying to make all the outcomes equal. And it's often built on this really optimistic idea that we can engineer a system that gets rid of human greed. But the ancient framework, it's totally different. It's about balancing what you give with what you get through your own personal responsibility. It doesn't promise everyone will end up in the same place, but it expects everyone to pull their weight. It kind of assumes, that self-interest is just part of being human, so the goal is to channel it into something productive for everyone. So what's the big takeaway here? According to the source, it's this. A real whole vision of justice can't just be about asking one question, am I getting what's mine? It has to include that second, maybe even more important question, am I doing my part? And that really leaves us with something to chew on, doesn't it? When we think about building a truly just society, what's more important? Claiming our share or pulling our load? Is justice really about demanding what we think we're owed, or is it about fulfilling the responsibilities we have to each other? Maybe, just maybe, the real answer is that you can't have one without the other.